Hello, this is Top Preps Sports Interviews with Sunil Sundaraj. Tonight, I'm happy to be speaking with Christian Lucero, a right-hander pitcher at American River College in Northern Highlands, California, and most importantly, winner of the Top Preps Mega Tweet Contest. Christian, once again, great to be speaking with you. Congratulations. And let's get right, into this in terms of your time at American River College. And just the level of success and the fact that what's so impressive is the fact that you have full arsenal of pitches that you can work with in terms of facing the competition. Just talk about it, Christian.
Yeah, so the Big Eight Conference is kind of where we play at American River College. From what I'm told throughout the past few years, it's been the top top conference in California that I would say at talent wise year in and year out, which is really fun for me, especially. I wasn't out of high school. I wasn't recruited, all that kind of stuff. So American River gave me a shot, and I was pretty happy about that, to being able to play in that conference. I've had pretty good success. I'm a submarine pitcher.
Yeah.
So I've had pretty good success with it. I'm just really happy with the talent level, and day in and day out, just being able to compete with my teammates and other teams that we be playing as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear, Christian. Hey, talk about being a submarine pitcher. It's very unique. You don't find, too many of those around. So I had to ask you that, once you arrived at American River College, the fact that you were able to develop into that type of pitcher, just talk, because I'm thinking it places quite a bit of stress like on the arm, but the fact that, you really have to work at the mechanics of the, of being that type of pitcher. Just dive into and, let everyone know about that.
Yeah. So, in high school, I didn't throw like that. I was a low 3/4 guy. Wasn't even thinking about that. And then once I got to American River, my pitching coach was like, "Hey, try this." You know what I mean? So he was just like, "Just lower your arm slot and just sling it. We'll see where it goes." Yeah. So I did that, and then I was like, "You know what? I'm cool with it. I'm okay with transitioning." You know what I mean? At first, I was a little skeptical because you don't see a lot of it, even in the major leagues. You only see a handful of them. So I was on board with it. I figured I'd give it a try, and then 4 years later, here I am. Every year, it seems like when I came back, everyone notices that I've gotten lower and lower and lower in the arm slot.
Yeah.
There's pictures around where I'm touching the ground. It's honestly, I would say it's really fun, and it's a different thing to see out of the bullpen. I would say I feel like that's kind of where the success is. There's the overhand pitchers, the normal guys, and then you bring someone like that in, and it's different for the hitter, which I think is, it's key. I throw a fastball, a two-seam fastball, a slider, and a splitter. So I have my 3 pitches that I can use, which is really all I need. And it actually doesn't really put a whole lot of stress on your arm. It is healthier for your arm. Ever since I've done it, I have never had an arm issue.
That's great.
No elbow soreness like most pitchers do. Shoulder, no, that's really it. You get a little soreness around the shoulder and your back.
Yeah.
You get sore around your back a little bit once your body's not used to it. But other than that, it's a really fun experience. It's a different way of kind of viewing things going because you think you're very limited with your capabilities on the mound, but it just opens up so much more with it.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you. I'm wondering, as you're, going through that motion when you're on the mound, and you definitely, as I said, can throw the hitters off their timing as well. Just talk about when you're on the mound in terms of facing the opposing hitter, and just what's going through your mind in terms of, again, you have that complement of pitches, so you really can pick and choose what you're going to throw. And then, of course, you have that communication with your catcher as well. Just talk about that element as well, Christian.
Yeah, so at the JC level, at least in the Big 8 conference, there's only, I would probably say, 2 or 3, including myself, of submarine sidearm guys in there. So I know when I'm on the mound, I know when the hitter comes up, I know they haven't seen it very much, which is kind of a big thing for me because, you know, it's an upper hand. They don't know, you don't know what they're gonna throw at you. I also have a quick pitch, including with all those things, so that can throw off the timing as well with nobody on base. So you know, I think having the upper hand on them not being able to don't even really know what to look forward to and all that, because I don't throw hard. You know, I'm probably 78 to 80. And then the slider, which is, you know, low 70s, and then the splitter somewhere in between there. You know, that fastball, I would say, is probably the key. You know, you're not going to not throwing so hard it's tough because you're not going to get the strikeouts. You're not going to get but you're going to lose the slow contact, the weak contact. You're going to get that, which is really all that matters. If you get outs, you get outs, which is kind of a big thing for me. I think I had 30 innings pitched last year. I only had 15 strikeouts. So, I mean, that just kind of shows that I'm pitching to contact. I think with the hitters, them not seeing it as much helps me be as successful as a submarine pitcher. The weak contact is probably the absolute best thing because they're not going to see the movement with overhand pitchers. They're not going to see that kind of movement with the fastball and the slider and even the splitter. Like with my splitter, it kind of knuckles a little bit and then drops. So they're not going to see that, especially from down at that lower arm slot.
That's true. No, make excellent points there. I'm wondering in terms of the preparation, you know, for when you go out to the mound, in terms of before the game, and then even said you're warming up. Just talk about that, how you just go about your own. I'm sure you have superstitions and just, you know, in terms of, you know, your personal tendencies, you know, in terms of getting ready, you know, to take the mound, Christian.
Yeah. So actually, one really big thing of mine is I do not touch a baseball until I warm up. So if it's game day, I don't play catch. I don't, you know, I stretch out, of course. I stretch out and get my body loose and all that. But when my pitching coach, you know, tells me, hey, go warm up, that's the first time I touch the ball, whether that's in the 5th inning, if I'm closing in the 9th inning. That's really, I don't touch a ball until then. That's kind of my superstition, which is it's really odd because even my pitching coach is just like, you sure you don't want to play catch? And I'm like, you know, I think it's just one of those things. Stay as fresh as you can. Don't waste your bullets, kind of type thing. I usually warm up. I don't warm up very slow. It's about five to 10 pitches, and I'm about ready. Especially in the bullpen and all that. And even when I'm starting to play catch, I never play catch overhand. Playing catch overhand is actually bothers my shoulder more than anything because my body's not used to it anymore. So I think with that, and then I jog out there from the bullpen, and then it's right when I throw the first pitch, you hear it in the dugout. You hear it in the stands. People are like, "Oh, wow!" You know what I mean? which is really cool, and it's funny to hear because I always kind of crack a smile, or crack a laugh out there when because even the people in the stands, you know, even scouts, even, you know, just fans and parents and all that, they don't see that. Some of them, you know, that aren't really into baseball too much, they don't really even know about it. You know, I know a couple people. They're just like, "Oh, wow, why does he throw like that?" You know, and there's not really specific answer to it. It's kind of just something that I got and learned, and I stuck with it. And I think that's what a lot of submariners have. They never really expected to go submarine, which is really, really sweet. And I'm kind of in that small collective group of guys that actually understand and able to throw that arm angle.
Yeah, definitely a small, fraternity of pitchers. Hey, you talk about uh, being flexible, durability, like in terms of the strength and conditioning, and then of course nutrition. There's so much that goes into it being an athlete, being a pitcher. Talk about that, like what you've been able to do, said on an individual basis. You also have the team, practices, but just in terms of what you've been able to do individually, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, usually during the off season, I do like to stay active. I play catch. I never play long toss. I'm always just 90 feet, 90 to 120 feet. I'm always playing catch there, and then just really eating right is kind of the big thing.
Yeah.
I did learn after my first year. I did have a kind of a back issue after my first year because it took a toll on me. Having probably, I would say, I think at that year was about 20 appearances. In a 40-game season, it takes a toll on you. And you're just at the end of the year, my back was all kinds of messed up, and I was talking to the pitching coach about it, and he was just like, if you strengthen your back the best, more than almost anything, more than your arms, more than your anything else, you're going to have a lot more success because you're going to feel more comfortable. So that's kind of what I kind of look in on. I usually just, back workouts, strengthen my backs, because going through that exact same motion 30, 40 times a game, depending on the pitch count, takes a really long toll on you. Yeah. So I would think, just eating healthy, making sure your body is in shape, especially with that kind of motion. You're getting twice as much movement out of that motion than you are in a regular pitching motion.
Yeah. So, everyone talks about the physical components of, baseball, but people don't understand how much of a mental game it is as well. And I want to pinwheel back to between being a middle relief pitcher and also a closer, the fact that there's that adrenaline rush, I'm sure, when you're closing. So talk about that as well, the fact that there's so many mitigating factors there, and just, again, different, the nuances of that as well, Christian.
Yeah. So last year I was the closer at American River. And one thing my teammates always notice is I'm a completely different person on the mound in that moment than I am in the dugout, hanging out with the guys. People are kind of freaked out about it almost, because I'm pretty intense on the mound. I'm I'm locked in, all that kind of stuff. In the dugout, I'm always cheering them on, blah blah blah, just talking, and then really once I get the call to the bullpen is kind of where the heartbeat goes. I can't stop moving. I have the jitters like every single time out of the situation. It's a 10-0 game, and the game's lost, or it's a 2-1 game and you're in the ninth inning with bases loaded. The exact same feeling, I think, every single time. I literally can't stay still. It's really hard to stay still, and it's almost, people think I'm like freaking out on the mound, and I'm I'm intense, and it's just kind of my mental thing. It's how I'm in that zone. I ignore absolutely everything on the mound, and I think that's where the mental game comes in a little bit. A lot of guys, they really don't get to be in that mental state when they're there, because sometimes chirping in the other dugout, kind of talking a little bit, that'll get to them. And then even people in the stands, some people won't agree with the call that went your way, and you hear it. I think baseball is probably the biggest, hardest mental game there is. And that kind of intensity, really, you're tired. It really takes a toll on you, especially for the season. At American River, we only play 40 games a season, and after 30, you're exhausted, I would say. Physically, mentally, you're exhausted, but once the off season hits, you feel it, and you don't really realize it until you're done with the season. once the season's over and you're kind of just like,
Yeah.
you know, kind
Finally
of
can breathe and relax.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
always very, very, very tight. Even during the games in a dugout, it's always intense, and it's a fun thing to be around because I don't get that feeling and that rush really anywhere else, any other parts of my everyday life.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing for me. I love that feeling of
Yeah.
adrenaline and always just going.
Yeah, no, it's terrific. Hey, you're proudly wearing, said that Bieber shirt, the hat. I'm wondering what that number 9, said jersey represents to you personally, Christian.
Really, there's really nothing behind it.
Okay.
When I started playing, I played when I was super young. I played a whole bunch of sports. It was
Yeah.
football, basketball, and baseball was actually the last sport I started.
Okay.
And then once I started t-ball, they just gave me a number 9 jersey.
Okay.
And I kind of looked at it, and then it just so happened that I think the next year or two, they just handed it to me, and it was number 9.
Okay.
Uh, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
If you look in my closet, I have a lot of jerseys, and that at least the ones that I got to save, and they're all number 9.
Yeah.
And I think it was really important to me, being at college and being at the really high level, to have that follow me. And I think my very first year, I did not get to choose the number that I wanted because I was the bottom of the barrel basically.
Okay.
When we picked the jersey numbers and all that for springtime, they let the sophomores and the guys that have been there a while go first.
Yeah.
And so I got travel redshirted my first year, and I got stuck with number 27. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do with number 27? Like, you know what? I'm gonna be here a couple years. I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'll ride with it. And then the very next year, nobody picked number 9, and I was like, I'll take it. I'll do it.
That's awesome. That's great. Hey, I don't want to forget about the coaching staff as well. Just talk about what they've meant to you in terms of say your development and your skills there as well.
So I actually was doing lessons almost, I think, once or twice a week with my pitching coach at American River when I was only a sophomore in high school. Preston Vansel is his name.
Yes.
He's played on, he was in the Mariners organization. Great pitching coach. He's the one that helped me go from overhand to submarine. So that was a really big thing for me. And being able to be with him every day and pick his brain from somebody that's been there, that's been in my shoes and all that. It's very nice to have him work with me every day and help me to get to where I need to be. He recruited me when nobody else did. He's seen me, which is really cool. And he was like, you know what, come to American River and we're gonna get you going. And
it's great.
It helped. It's helped me a lot.
Very nice.
Even with the assistant coaches and my head coach, Coach Jumale, he's helped me with little tips and stuff like that I didn't even know as a submarine pitcher. And he was never a submarine pitcher himself. You know what I mean? And he even helped me with things. And the assistant pitching coach, a couple of them that I've had with my time there, they've all helped me in a certain way, which is really cool. Just either mechanics wise, mentally. Preston, he went over his whole game routine when he came into the game. Having that and me being able to understand the feeling that he had is kind of what I had, which is really cool. I would probably say that they're the best coaches I've had. They've helped me get to where I'm at right now, and whatever moves forward, wherever I go moving forward. So I think that it's cool, and I thank them greatly.
Yeah, it's fabulous to hear. Okay, let's transition, back to River City High School in West Sacramento, California. Definitely said thrived there, enjoyed success there, especially your senior year. And you know what? Again, what's so interesting is the fact that you were a center fielder, one defensive player of the year. Just talk about your time there at River City, said high school, Christian.
Yeah, my first couple years there, I was in JV, and I got to, for whatever reason they picked me, whether it was talent, whether it was attitude, whatever. They decided to pick me. I went up to varsity early. Um, I kind of got to work out with them, and actually, one of the guys on the team at River City, he's now in the Pirates organization. So I really got to actually learn from him at a really young age, which is really cool. And then once it was my time at varsity to play full time, we just got a coaching change. It was this whole thing, and nobody knew this guy, and he actually turned out, and he helped a lot. He started turning the program around. Past few years, they've made it to playoffs, so they've been doing great over there. And yeah, and when I was there, I played center field. I started one game out of the week,
Okay.
which is tough to do, especially when you're playing outfield. You're always throwing.
Yeah.
Whether it's a ball in the gap, you're just throwing it in or whatever. You're always throwing, and which was really tough on my arm at the time. Playing center field 2 days a week, and then that third game, I'm starting on the mound.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately why I decided to pick pitching more. Hitting wasn't really my strong suit, I would say. I hit decent, but it wasn't nothing comparatively to any of the guys at American River right now that I can even compare to. So doing that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a step back on the hitting and then the fielding, even after I had success there, which is really cool to say, especially now that I'm not doing it. I can say that. I can say to the guys in the dugout, I can say, player of the year.
Still have that in your back pocket. The fact that you still hey, a need be can step onto the plate and still.
No, yeah, exactly. So I was like, you need me.
Center fielder, or even at the plate.
yeah, especially starting games was actually, that was the last time I started a game in high school. I'm a back of the pen bullpen guy now, so that was a huge change for me. Understanding that I wasn't going to be in for 5-6 innings a game, and I was going to go in there for 1 or 2 innings. I think the longest relief appearance I've had at American River was probably 3 innings. Okay. And that was pushing it a little. So it was a big culture change for sure. Even just mentally too. Knowing that you have a reduced role, but it's just as important as playing every single out of that game. So I think River City really helped me. Even though I didn't get recruited and all that out of high school, they really helped me become a baseball player that can play at the next level.
That's great. Just building that foundation, that's great to hear. Saying Potential in terms of, when you are whether it's in high school or college, you need to have that structure in place in terms of administration, athletic departments. I believe at American River College athletic director, I think it's Steve Roberson. Just talk about both schools, how important that was to have that in place. They say it takes an entire village to really have a successful program. Just talk about that as well, Christian.
Yeah. So I think at River City, it's a high school, so it wasn't as strong as a athletics foundation. Okay. But it was still, they still helped you. They got you in the weight room. They got you everywhere you needed to be and what you needed to do, and they got you there. And that continued at American River. We have a really, really nice weight room. We have a whole bunch of different things that we can use that we're accessible to at all times, which has really helped. And especially, I would say, that in the trainer's room, they help you get healthy as fast as you can, always. And I've had my fair share of a couple of injuries, nagging injuries throughout the past couple of years, and I've gotten to get back out there pretty quickly with the trainer's help. They're always on top of it. They're always, hey, come check in after practice. Tell me how you feel. We'll go with that. And I think that's a really big thing for really any program, I would say. I think, it'll first start with health. If you're not on the field, you can't,
Yeah.
you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And then really what the athletic director and everyone helping they do.
Yeah.
My head coach, Coach Jumale, he helps a lot with that, with baseball and everything else, and being able to get in the gym early, being able to get in the weight room, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very helpful. I would think that being there is probably the most important as an athlete. I would say the gym there. That's probably where you're going to live and breathe most of the time.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. I think really the behind the scenes people who really don't, get the credit they truly deserve in terms of the trainers. And then as you mentioned, facilities really, matter in terms of weight training, gym, a baseball field. That's where you really definitely want to. I mean, once you step in there, you say, this is where I want to be. This is, again, you talk circle back to culture, and the environment that you want to be around as well. It's also being a student athlete as well, Christian. You definitely, at River City High School, 3.2 GPA. Talk about that. It's not easy, in terms of being a student athlete. I mean, there's so much demand, practices, training, the games per se, and the fact that you have to squeeze in your academics as well. So just talk about how you've been able to, deal with in terms of time management and organization.
Yeah, college is for sure a different monster when it comes to time management.
Yeah.
High school, they worked for you and they worked around it for you and helped you, succeed in what you need to do. But college, you're making your schedule and you have to make sure it's right and everything's on point. Really, the classes are harder. You're going to have more homework. I know I have a 1,500 word essay that's due in a couple weeks. Okay. So I have to fit that in with practicing, 5 days a week. And, just I have work as well. So, doing all that kind of stuff is very, very difficult. And I would say at least, 1 or 2 hours, maybe a day, just look at your homework and do that kind of stuff. And you'll be completely fine. We have at American River, we have athletic counselors there. Okay. And, they have computers set up and they're like, after practice, if you don't think you could get it done at home, come in there, go on the computer, get it done. We're there for you. We're there to help you. And that kind of starts with behind the scenes people.
That's right.
Those athletic counselors are top tier at American River. They help you if you're, if they notice that you have a D or a low C in a class, they're going to contact you themselves and be like, okay, what's going on? You know what I mean? So I think that's really cool. I think last semester I had like a B minus and they were just like, hey, what can we do to get that to a B plus or an A minus? So you really they've helped a lot. They even give you this whole time management sheet and this video to watch to even just get you in the right direction, which is absolutely helpful with that kind of stuff. Because sometimes the professors also don't really know what you're doing. You know what I mean? If it's an online class. So and with those classes, even in person, you only get 1 or 2 hours with that professor, and they're only seeing what you're doing in class. They're not seeing what you're doing behind. So I think American River has really, really helped me with time management and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really, really nice that all schools should have something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's tremendous. Just staying on top of things, that's really important. And, when it comes to, your studies. Okay, just as important as, family, I wanted to ask you about your parents. You have one younger brother, 4 step siblings, just what they've meant to you during this academic, athletic journey, just because I'm sure that you really lean on them, in terms of, whether it's ups and downs and just, whether, just talking about life in general, then, baseball as well. Just, if you want to on that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So my younger brother, he's only 10 years old, 11 years old.
Okay. Okay.
So I mean, I'm helping him out as much as I can when home, so not being home with those 4 hour practices and
Yeah.
school work. When I'm there and he plays baseball himself, I'll give him the tips. I'll try and help him, just
Yeah.
little stuff. Um, but it's really nice to, when I'm at home, it's really nice to relax and hang out with them and just kind of be your own person and
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My mom and dad, they went to, I say, every single little league game, every single whatever sport I was playing, they were there. They were there
Yeah.
watching, hanging out, got to see me play, which has really, really helped me. Even
Yeah.
I say now sometimes when I'm pitching and I'm kind of looking around in the crowd, I see my dad. I'm kind of excited. I was like, oh, okay, he's here, he's watching. So I think that's really cool, and it's a different thing when you're seeing your parents watching you, for sure.
Yeah.
You see it in the major leagues. It's somebody's debut, their whole family's there, and
Yeah.
that means so much to every player, I think. And I got to notice that once higher up in the in college that I got to play. They didn't get to make it to every game because we have away games. We go pretty far. So having them there at home games anytime they could come out is super cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, my every sibling, they always had something to say, something that helps me out. Because when we have family get-togethers, that's the only time that I see them really. I don't. They're doing their own thing, having fun doing their lives, whatever. And but they help me out a lot. They ask me how everything is, and that's just as important. Just even asking, how baseball is and how school is and how's work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They help me out a lot. But I think my little brother, he's the next guy up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me trying to teach him and teach him to be a young man and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool to have him around.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear. Talk about before trying to de-stress and breathe and relax, and you need that, with all the pressures that you face. I mean, it's a lot of responsibilities and tasks. I mean, your hobbies, look, playing the video games, golf, hiking, and visiting the outdoors. The fact that you're out there in nature, I'm sure that really helps in terms of we talked about again the mental and physical aspect of playing baseball. So just talk about how important that is, how essential that is for you, Christian. To
Yeah.
fall back on those.
Yeah, at a young age, I was introduced to outdoors just by even my aunt and uncle. It wasn't my parents, it wasn't my sibling.
Okay.
It was my aunt and uncle, and they helped me. They were like, "Oh, let's
Yeah.
go on hikes," and sometimes they'd get lost, and I don't even care. I'm just walking, looking around, looking at cool things, and then that kind of translated into me going out every day, me wanting to be outside. I sometimes I like playing video games, but I like being outdoors.
Yeah.
I like taking walks, all that kind of stuff, and it keeps you in shape sometimes too.
Yeah.
Going on hikes and all that. I know I have a goal of visiting all of the national parks, so that's a goal in itself.
Yeah.
So I think I think that's really cool, and I think you staying active with it, even when on your free time, when you're staying active, I think that's kind of the best thing, and just taking that breath of fresh air. You have your everyday life, but only once in a while you get to go out on a hiking trail or a national park, any kind of park. That it really helps me just wind down and kind of clear my mind out of everything. Even mid-season, we'll have a rare day off, and I'll be like, okay, you know what? Let's go for a hike. So
Yeah.
I think that's very, very ideal for me. I know not everybody's like that, but I'm usually kind of a go, 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 and that just adds on to it. So it's really cool.
Hey, when opportunity knocks on the door, might as well, take it and go for it. I said, life's too short. So yeah, that it's a great attitude, a positive attitude to have. Now, you've been playing baseball for so long. I'm just wondering for you, what are some of the intangibles that stand out in terms of the game? That whether you're on the field, on the mound, or even off the field, that you see from the dugout as well. Just what is it about the game? I mean, you obviously have that, you have that drive, you have that passion and energy for it. So just for you personally, what is it about the game of baseball?
Yeah, just even just watching people. Some people are just like, "Oh, this is a slow game. It's pitch by pitch." But I think the best part about it is you're never going to be perfect. Really, it's a game of failure. I've always been told that. 3 out of 10 times is Hall of Fame. So I think that kind of explains a lot of it. But each pitch is its own challenge. I would say whether you're a hitter, whether you're on the field, whether you're pitching, each pitch is its own challenge, and it has its own perfections and flaws and all that kind of stuff. So I think the game within the game is the very hardest thing to come by, and only a certain amount of guys can do it at a higher level. And I think it's really, really cool that not every sport has that kind of game within the game, I guess. Yeah. And the more I learn. I'm learning something every single day, and I've been playing it for 15 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. 16 years. So it's like, it's like wow, and it's fun. It's funny how complex the game is, which is why it always keeps you on your toes, which is why I like it so much.
Yeah, no, it definitely has changed. Hey, I think you're just in an absolutely incredible spot here to offer advice again to younger kids, athletes out there. I mean, what would you say to them? I mean, again, very competitive out there. We have a lot going on social media. I mean, there's so much there, pressures they have to face. But I mean, what would you say to them? Just navigating these waters and just in terms of trying to succeed and move up that ladder, Christian.
Yeah, really, first thing I would say is take it one day at a time. If you have a bad day, you can go out there the very next day and you can do the best you possibly can. My coach always says, give me 100% of what you have that day. And there's some times where I'm like, I don't want to be out here. I'm tired, all that kind of stuff. But being out there every day is more of a privilege. You're physically able to do that. Some people aren't physically able to do sports in general. And I wouldn't take it for granted. I would work one day at a time. Become the best possible player you can be in really any sport. So I would say when you don't want to do it one day, you're going to want to do it the next day, and you're going to want to do it at some point in your life. Yeah. So I would say just keep going, and just work hard, and you'll be the best baseball player, sports player you can be.
Yeah, sound advice. Well said. Okay, Christian, you get the final word and message here for family, friends, current and past teammates, coaches, River City High School and American River College. The floor is yours, Christian.
Yeah, I would say family is your number one thing. They're always going to be there for you. Sports ain't always going to be there, but family is always going to be there. And I think having that and being able to play baseball at in River City, American River, I think they've helped me so much. And I think if you want to play baseball, if you want to play somewhere, you can. I think American River, they've done everything for me, which is really cool, and I'm always going to appreciate them for that. Same thing with River City. But yeah, I'm really, really thankful for everything, and yeah.
Sounds good. Hey, a true honor and privilege, I said, speaking with you, Christian, and, wishing you continued success at American River College and looking forward to seeing, what you do beyond.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.